Hey everyone, welcome back to Unmuted. I know tonight or a bit late if you're watching on Facebook. There, it's a bit later of a view time, but either way, um, happy to be back. So I was planning on posting a video last week, and I know it's some people have been asking, where was video last week, and really thinking about the direction I'm looking to go in the future of Unmuted and what we want to do. And so just on looking things like that. And one of the reasons last week is this week we're going to be filming a ton of content. We have a few more guest stars too this week. I'm very excited talking about some very important issues, such as issues on for people in rural areas, especially on the areas of healthcare and proper representation, and as well as looking at human trafficking, as Human Trafficking Awareness Day is coming up closer, I believe, at the end of this week, which we will get into later on. And, you know, looking at these and filming these, I kind of figured, where did I want to go? Of course, a few weeks ago was, of course, the big revamping where we had our guest star member of Parliament, Todd Doherty, who, of course, we had an amazing talk on mental health, and I am so happy we had that talk. And of course, I for those who kind of knew about this, some did, most didn't. I wanted that to be a very big and grand event, and we couldn't do that. You know, uh, most of the guests weren't available, and then when I was scrambling to get more guests, it was too last minute to book anyone. So, I don't regret. I know we wanted Todd on there. We want to talk about mental health. We want to talk about the issues that are being put on mute. Right, that's the whole point of this podcast. So it's the whole point of what I'm doing here. One of the things I want to address is, some people have asked, not a lot, and I why it's not a lot. So a few people have asked me why I no longer am posting the podcast on Spotify um, or on Apple. I think Apple Music and some other platforms that the system I was on allowed me to post on multiple systems. But Spotify was kind of our big platform starting off this podcast. But we found the recent videos have only were very low, whereas platforms like YouTube and Facebook give us a bit more outreach. So, if it's something that's continually and really wanting, that people really want, I'll go back to Spotify. But at the moment, it's not seeming worth going to a platform like that at the moment. So it's just, we have had very little success in the future. Um, so yeah, we're looking forward. Last week, was a bit of a struggle on what I want this channel to be, where I want it to go, and what I'm looking for. And it became disheartening. I had a bit of a moment last weekend where, when I was about to film, I just didn't know what I wanted to talk about. There's just so many issues, and at the same time, while there's so many issues, it doesn't feel like many are paying attention. um, which I somewhat expected, but at the same time, it's disheartening. You have something you're pulling out of your chest, and so for Chris was mentioned a few weeks ago on our revamp. The whole point I was I was doing this was because of my dad. He was diagnosed with ALS, and so clearly the normal channels of just going and talking to people and hoping average awareness works wasn't working. And part of me was looking back and you know struggling with the fact of the reasons for doing this seem to be gone, and it's uh, it's hard. It's hard to explain exactly how to move forward. It's at some point I only felt like the only person paying attention to my my podcast, to my campaign, raised to 338, was my father, and it's who I was doing it for. And now it kind of feels like it's all just dropped off, which is disheartening to see. But in that same mention, I look at all the people who just give up after it's just out of their lives and then just don't care about the issue anymore. And that's something in someone I don't want to be in someone, of course, not who my father, of course, raised me to be. So it's it is difficult to move on from this point because all this was for him, and now, of course, he's gone. So it's sometimes hard to get motivated until I get the stuff like meeting with Todd Doherty and, of course, Arnold Viersen, where you have these issues and no one seems to care. No one cares about ALS. No one cares about mental health, even though we all say we like to care. I mean, yay, we have a day in a month to recognize this, but I found that in my experience, and I think everyone's guilty of this, including myself. I don't think I'm any form of innocence, and I even think my dad said he would be guilty of it as well. But unless it affects you, you just don't care. And I'm sure there's going to be people out there who say, "Well, I care. I care about all this stuff," but even though I don't suffer from it, sure, people, as I say, talk is cheap. So, I mean, let's be honest, if it doesn't affect you in any way, you don't care. And that's been the biggest struggle with ALS is it's a rarer disease than, let's say, cancer or diabetes, right? It's not something the average person has. So, or even, someone knows it has it. I just remember the ice bucket challenge. I think I was in high school still, in my, I think between 15 to either 14 to 16, in that range. And I just remember all my friends doing it, and I don't think any of them actually donated any money until I remember even when my own sister was doing it, my dad said, "You need to donate money. That's the whole point of this." And, it's amazing to me how many young people got this trend going and how many actually donated. I mean, it's one of the things I think I hate about social media is these stupid trends. Not that the ice bucket challenge was stupid, but I think certain people turned it into something stupid. It's something where you just dunk yourself in water, and I want need to go back and ask all these people who were challenged, did you donate any money? So that's the whole point. I mean, there was somewhat of awareness building, but it's a conversation I've had with a few people, and they think you need the celebrities, you need all the people, all these high end people talking about it, and something's going to get done. And I mean, that's not true. That's not going to do anything. Let's be honest. Getting, let's, America's favorite pastime, baseball, has been the face and center of ALS, and even the disease's nickname is after a baseball player. Lou Gehrig's disease is what it's mostly known as, ALS. And guess what? Still nobody really knows what it is, and nobody knows what it was. They know a guy named Lou Gehrig's had a disease. That's about as far as it goes. So to say we need big stars, I mean, I bet you didn't even know Wayne Gretzky made a video about ALS, did you? I found out because I just follow pages, and I found out that Wayne Gretzky's video through this ALS group had less views, likes, and shares than when a member of parliament did in a video for ALS. I think it even got less views than when I make my videos on Facebook. In reality, the great one, probably the most known guy in Canada other than Terry Fox. And probably no one knew he did a video about ALS. I wouldn't have found it if I didn't follow this group. And I wonder how many people follow Wayne Gretzky. I don't even remember Wayne Gretzky even sharing a video of him doing something for ALS. But I mean, I don't remember him doing it. Maybe he did, and if he did, apologize. But I don't remember seeing it because I do follow Wayne Gretzky on social media. I don't remember him sharing it. I know I only found it because of this group, and if he did share it, it got kind of lost in my feed. But anyways, neither here nor there. So, that's the point of doing this, is to bring a different kind of awareness. We see the celebrities, we see this, and of course, it's not just about ALS. This is about bringing issues, multitude of issues, to light, and especially issues that no one seems to care or really any attention towards. For me, the one I was most shocked was human trafficking. Like, oh my goodness! And I'm very excited to have Arnold back this week. We're going to be doing a video with Arnold this week, recording it. Probably won't come out till next weekend, but I'm so excited to have Arnold on, because we're going to have a better and longer conversation about human trafficking that we didn't get to have last time. And I'm just glad we can have that. I'm glad we can, because, as much as I hate when ALS gets blown under the rug, an issue like human trafficking and, slavery to this day still exists, through the work of human trafficking, blows my mind completely. Really does. And it can be disheartening that, people would rather care about first world problems when, ironically enough, human trafficking is still a big thing that happens here in Canada and in the United States. It's huge in Europe. I mean, slavery, like, it annoys me when sometimes we put slavery in a past context and talk about it that way, when in reality, it's still happening, it still exists, and it's even larger than it ever was at any point in history. And I mean, it's crazy that slavery still exists and we're still focusing on past slavery. It's crazy that we can complain about slavery of the past when we haven't even solved slavery in a modern context. It annoys me. We sit here and talk about all these first world problems. If you live in Canada, US, it just annoys me, the issues we choose to highlight. And when there are so many issues that social media platforms, and I know they're not as entertaining to sit here and watch people talk about their struggles through, human trafficking and healthcare and how people are suffering in this world. We'd rather watch people dance funny on a TikTok or say very stupid, controversial things and start up arguments. But neither here nor there. But it's frustrating, to say the least. And it's the struggle that we've been fighting with or at least myself has been fighting with for 3 years. And we need to do more, and that's why I try and highlight my campaign, the Race to 338, which I might have to change the name because, of course, Parliament is expanding Parliament, so it's no longer 338 seats. I think it'll be 340 something now. So it'll be a bit bigger, but until it officially happens, which I don't think is until 2024. So I have one more year to keep the name. But it's important to raise issues like that. I mean, some people tell me, what's the point of contacting my member of parliament? What can they do? You'd be shocked how influential lobbyists and people, when enough people raise an issue, how much it can change. And how much you get your friends to do it, you get your family to do it, everyone contacting on an issue, it can change a lot. And make sure you support candidates and nominations of people who support these things. It's one thing to just contact your MP, and then some of them will just shrug it off. Believe me, I have faced many MPs who either just refuse to contact me back or have literally given me a polite way of the middle finger. And, of course, I have contacted a few of them, and I've been disappointed with the Minister of Health in Canada's Minister of Health for a long time. Every single one since 2017 doesn't deserve the position they're in. I mean, I talked with the Minister of Health um, when she was back at Patty Haidu. I even emailed her. She at least had the courtesy to email me back, but essentially in the email said, "We're not going to do anything." You know what blows my mind in this, though? What really, really is the essential kicker in this, and what I'm shocked is that in 2017, a Liberal member of Parliament got ALS, died from ALS rather quickly. We've had two elections, but even within that 2017, the Liberals had two years in their majority standing. Do you know what happened? A motion. Now, before people come here and say, "Oh, they made a motion," for those who don't know what a motion in the House of Commons is it's essentially a very cheap ploy to get people off their back. It's essentially saying, "Yeah, we're going to do something. We're going to talk about it," but it's essentially saying it's on record, but they didn't do anything. And you know what's crazy? You sit there and witness, even if it wasn't your friend, a colleague. You saw the transgression, and this guy went pretty quick. And his name is fading, and I apologize on that. Um, and it just goes to show you how hidden these issues are. It was probably one video, one media outlet of time showing over of this moment. But no attention at all. I go and talk to MPs. I've talked to a few Liberal MPs, and not one acknowledged their colleague who died of ALS in 2017. One MP I even talked to who was in the moment of his colleague dying in a year, like I think it was less than a year. He died quickly. Okay. It was so quick, and the MP had the nerve to sit and tell me, "Well, we need to go through proper trials and tribulations." Here's the thing about Health Canada is our big issue is, of course, the PMPRB. For those who don't know what that is the drug pricing. That's something I'd really love to talk about further on this show, especially with if you don't know him, he's MP Tom Kimmich from Alberta. He's absolutely understands this issue to a T, and I'd love to have him on to talk more about the PMPRB and even possibly again even on the issues of Taiwan, because he's big on that too. But what I think is just what blows my mind is you have the power to change things, and you have a colleague you witnessed died, and you just passed a motion. You just said, "We need to do more. We are going to," I believe the actual wording of the motion is, "Canada's going to be a world leader of fighting ALS." That's your cue to laugh, because we are anything but the leader of, we are not even close. I don't even think we come in the top 99% of fighting ALS in the world. Like our drug approval process is so brutal that reports are coming out that ALS companies are now wanting to pull out of the process of going through Health Canada. not refuse to come. They want to leave. That's Health Canada. I've tried talking to the current Minister of Health, the Deputy Ministers of Health, both in the opposition caucuses. Minister of Health at least had the decency to get back to me. Same with the Shadow Minister of Health of the Conservatives. Shadow Minister for the NDP decided to just say, screw you, I'm not even going to recognize this email. We invited them on the channel because I wanted all three of them on here to talk about what Parliament is doing. We wanted a panel. Since then, I've asked to meet both of them on the issue of ALS. Actually, I've asked all three. None have decided it's clearly worth their time to even respond to that. So these are people on the federal level in charge of health. Their job is to ensure the health care of Canadians. They're not doing it. They don't care. They don't care. They don't care. If they cared, or if they took their jobs, pretty, in my opinion, seriously, they would at least hear me out. But they don't even want to hear me out. They just want to say, yeah, not our problem right now. It's so frustrating. I try not to be negative as much as possible towards MPs because I want to focus on the positive message. But this past week has been so frustrating. Just reviewing all the people, seeing nothing get past a certain amount of views, no one really following or subscribing anywhere. It's frustrating. And apologize if this is more negative video than I usually leave it at. It's just tough. I've come to a place where it's made hard when it shouldn't be made hard. And with the entire access of the world at your fingertips, and just even then, just nobody cares. It's frustrating. It's frustrating, and we continue on. And I'm going to continue on doing this. I'm not going to let adversity get in the way of what I'm trying to do. And it's important that we continue on with this kind of work. And thank you for listening to my rant. It's just something. It's something I needed to get off my chest before I continue forward on this podcast. And so what is the future of immunity going to be like? And I want to end on a positive note. And it's a good question what's going to look like. I had a whole plan. It kind of got derailed a few weeks ago because the live stream was going to introduce this new stuff. We were going to have what I was going to call the MEGAPHONE Panel, where we and I still would like to do that, and I'll get into that more in a second. But there was these few things I wanted to introduce, and I couldn't do it because I was so frustrated. But I'll get into what I'm planning on releasing in the next month or so. We got some great guests this week. We're having Philip Lawrence, Member of Parliament for Northumberland, Peterborough South, and Arnold Vierson, West, the Member of Parliament for Peaceful Westlock, not together, separately, of course. And we're going to do that to film with them this week, talking on the issues of rural issues, is primarily probably rural healthcare and how to with that, and then also talking with Arnold Vierson on human trafficking as Human Trafficking Awareness Week or Awareness Day, I think, is this week. We'll get into more of that in the following week. If you're on Facebook, it'll be live. We'll be live streaming. We may live stream all three. I'm not 100% sure on that on YouTube, but it'll be easy to find on Facebook. Just make sure you're following my channel, Brett Wilson. Or if you're my friend, I share it on my personal feed too. And make sure if you want to see it on YouTube, if you prefer that platform, subscribe to Brett Wilson. And you know, it's important. You'll see my face here as the logo for it. It's easy to find, and yeah, just make sure we just keep sharing and following those issues. But one of the things we're introducing as well in the next month or so is the megaphone panel. This will be an opportunity to bring on some guests, multiple guests on a panel where we talk about issues decided by you. So probably next Saturday, I'll start the kind of polling on what issues we want to talk about. So if you have an idea, leave it in the comment. Start now. I monitor my videos and keep the notifications on for these videos. So if you want to leave something down, then leave a comment. Let me know what issue you want to talk about. And we'll bring on some guests and we'll talk about it. That's the plan down the turnpike. I've also seen possibly expanding. Now, if you noticed, if you go to my channels, it's not an unmuted channel because my channel has a bit more on it than just unmuted. And we're looking to expand, my Brett Wilson channel on YouTube and Facebook. And if we get enough requests, I'll continue going on Spotify. But at the moment, you won't find this podcast on Spotify, just because we just don't get enough views, and it's a bit extra, tinkering and editing to get it on there nicely. So we're just not going to do that. So unless we get more demand for it, or more people want it. So, but anyway, just nice things to come. I need to just get some of this more negativity out, explanation further, and hopefully, a lot of good things to come down the pike here. I think we're really going to see a real big expansion in the summer, when more people are available, which will be awesome. But it's just, we need to make sure that we are really just pushing forward, and we're not letting just the things that keep me down, keep me from doing what I need to be doing. And that is continuing building awareness for these issues, and just continue fighting, because these are important. I mean, it's something we need to continue to do, and something we need to do together. So please share my videos, even if it's on Facebook, YouTube, wherever you find it. Just make sure you're sharing. Make sure if you have someone or know someone that you can relate to these issues. Show them the videos. Make sure you subscribe, you follow, you like, and comment. Especially comment on ideas for Megaphone. So if you have an idea for Megaphone and you want an issue for the Megaphone panel, just do hashtag Megaphone and the issue along there so we can find it easier. But other than that, that's something we want to introduce, is the Megaphone panel. Hopefully do that as often as we can if we have the guests for it. But these are important issues. We should talk about it. But I want to leave. There are more than just the issues that I find my way across, are issues you want to talk about. So let's talk about it. Let's continue to build awareness for the issues that have put on mute, and let's crank the volume up all the way for everyone to hear, so everyone has a chance to so we have a chance to build awareness for all these issues just hidden away in the back room. So join me. Let's get this unmuted properly, and let's continue to build awareness for those put on mute. Thanks, everyone, and have a great night.